Hello, ladies and gentlemen, business owners. My name is Daryl Guberman. I am the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC, a quality consulting firm here in Connecticut. We've been in business for 13 years as of August 2024. We've been exposing the situation with Boeing a long time before this issue happened with the 737 Alaska aircraft. This video today goes to message to Kirkland H. Donald, Boeing's new quality management systems auditor. I must, as a quality professional, allow you in on this mess that you're in. Maybe you're going to look at this and poo-poo it. I would not. Boeing, for 22 years, has delegated inspection to their ANSI-ANAP accreditor, who is also an underwriter, which means anything that happened at your suppliers, ANSI and ANAP are also culpable, involved. Not only is Boeing, but the people who you delegated the authority for source inspection for quality cost-cutting measures, more than likely. I don't think Mr. Calhoun was on Boeing at the time because it started in 2002. We don't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. For 22 years, Boeing has been taking a piece of paper, ANSI-ANAP accredited, as verification for their quality. And now, it has raised its ugly head. Basically, you hand them an AS9100 certificate accredited by ANSI-ANAP. The reason why we do this is because we are a competitor to ANSI-ANAP. There is no federal or legal regulation about us being a registrar, and we are. And we are a competitor. And now I know why when I first started my business, it's kind of loosened up a little bit, but now I know why that when it came to some machine shops, they said, oh, we have to use ANSI-ANAP. Because now we know why. Because Boeing sits on ANSI-ANAP's board. It's on their supplier portal. And as we see, ladies and gentlemen, they have failed and failed miserably. And I'm going to show you why. Also, to compound these problems, because in quality, you have tolerances, accumulating tolerances on parts that engineering figures into the production and manufacture of products. It's called accumulating tolerances. For what Boeing did in the FAA to Boeing, they have actually accumulated tolerances in the fact that they have 22 years of deficiencies that are on those planes. I cannot say for a fact, but when you give source inspection up to your accreditor / underwriter ANSI-ANAP, you have yourself some problems. The FAA in 2009 gave regulatory authority to Boeing. You will see that in this. And Mr. Kirkland, or Kirkland Donald. I tell you this because from one man to another, and I will say this again from Confucius, it is not the droplet of water that wears away the mighty Boeing, because they're not mighty now. It is Daryl Guberman's persistence. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this video is about message to Kirkland H. Donald, Boeing's new quality management systems auditor. You have ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation, and it has both federal agencies and corporations on its board. I'm sorry for those of you who are listening to this again, but I don't think Kirkland Donald is privy to this. I have to educate him. He's a Navy guy. And I apologize for, one of my staff members got a different Kirkland Donald, or Donald Kirkland, who was a aircraft guy, and he loaded munitions onto aircraft. I apologize for that. You have Randy Doherty, the vice president of ANAP at the time in 2015. He was also the chairman of the International Accreditation Forum Incorporated in Delaware, which is a repository for both national and international accreditation bodies. Those bodies that sit on the IAF are considered equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAP. ANSI-ANAP are underwriters for all of them, so if there's an issue in the system with product failure, they are legally responsible and liable. You have this guy, by the way, Randy handed over complete control. I said that he was also on the 990 tax form as a principal, controlling the whole ball of wax. So here you have the overseer watching the overseer back in the day, and here you go here. He handed over leadership to Zhao Jinwu, this Chinese Communist national who's been involved with our quality since 1994. Zhao Jinwu at the time is also the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, located in Beijing, China. He's been involved with the quality since 1994. Let me go back here. 2016, Randy invited us. I have the email, invited us to join either ANAB or IF or both. But how, ladies and gentlemen, as a proud American Jewish business leader, how could I possibly join with this guy watching over the ANAB that this guy asked me to join? And not only that, if I wanted, I could join IAF too. Go to China. Well, nice. But it's an inherent fact that cybersecurity risk here. 2017, a big cybersecurity risk is you have Randy Doherty being advertised on the Department of Homeland Security. Okay? And the reason why he was on there was there's a person, Phil Matson, who's the director, whatever, of standards that sit on the Department of Homeland Security, getting $262,000 as a royalty payment, and on top of it, he was getting his federal salary. Royalty payments are usually non-taxable. They have more later changed that because I've been hammering away at them. They've changed it to a various payment. Here we have Zhao Jinwu in the Wuhan, China, where they released the virus from. And you know why I say they released it definitively? Because we have somebody here that I want you to meet. Her name is Pamela Sale, the guest of the hour. As he sat there or stood there in 2017, Pamela Sale, about a year later, gave a deposition concerning a laboratory issue that they had down in Texas. So he was in that picture. He is both the IF chairman and also the chairman of the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services. That ANSI-ANAB, it's equivalent to accreditation. You have Pamela Sale. I'm not going to read it to you, but she basically says in this deposition that from one laboratory, and she's the vice president of quality for laboratory certification, so it doesn't say much. Basically, in all the labs, she says forensic lab, but if it's phlebotomy lab, it's a biolevel 4 lab or forensic lab that she says here, not just in the United States, but worldwide, she said they lack protocol. Isn't that nice? And then you have ANAB sitting on ANSI's board. It's vice versa. You also have the factor, Kirkland, or may I call you Kirk? I like Kirk, like Captain Kirk. You have the factor that you have 10 registrars in China that can issue an ANSI-ANAB certification. Now you go here. And as a proud serviceman, and thank you for your service, Kirk, I would like you to watch this. This is important. ANSI took over complete control over ANAB. Between 2015 and 2021, they sat on the communist-led IAF, given to them by Randy Doherty in 2015. So 2015 and 2021. What bothers me, and it should bother you as a retired military man, and you're helping Boeing, and I'm telling you, you should, without a doubt, get a hold of Daryl Guberman, because we move mountains, and I say that humbly. You have my letters of recommendation. You have my bio statement, and here we go. You have Iran and Pakistan sitting on the same organization incorporated in Delaware that ANSI-ANAB sits in. So can we say, sits on. So can we say they're affiliated? I'm not saying this about the people of Iran or Pakistan, but I'm saying it about the leadership. On top of it, you have Iran, who is subsidizing Hamas and the Houthis and all the rest. Houthis and the blowfish. Yeah, they're trying to blow up things. Unbelievable. And I don't mean to say anything bad about Houthi and the blowfish, but, you know, I figured that would be a nice thing. But anyway, getting back in all seriousness, okay, this is a serious matter. As a military man, retired, that Boeing is using an organization that they sit and they shove down their suppliers' throats. For 22 years, Boeing left it up to an ANSI-ANAB accredited companies, and they gave up source inspecting, basically. That's what that the Boeing notification date basically says. And sitting right over by, and by the way, Pakistan and Iran are equivalent in accreditation to ANAB. You have this, and we have Patrick Shanahan behind me. He's running Sparrow Aerospace Systems. And who sits on ANSI-ANAB's board? There's 7 registrars, okay? And Intertek is one of them, and that's certifying Spirit Aerospace Systems. Okay, and they use the ANAB logo. So here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Do you find that there's anything wrong with this? Is there confidence in the integrity of Oversight? Absolutely not. This document here is off a company's website. After I exposed it, they took it down. It changed completely. This states and specifies that ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the IAF. They are also underwriters for the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation out of Australia, Kirkland. Here's the actual standard operating work order with the number. If you want to look it up, Kirkland, be my guest, because you will find that it states on there, ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the IAF. It's a government contract. Thus, it is a fact. You can, that's as good as gold, because now Boeing has a lawsuit. You can drag ANSI ANAB into it, and I'll help you do that because I've got a lot of information, as you can see. So during this time in 2018, Kirkland, you still had the IF watching over. So basically, the State Department invited China in. And if you don't believe it, here's the actual contract with all the mess here. And it states that ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Forum. Now we get on to Boeing, where you're assisting. And I would suggest again to look through my CV, to look at the letters of recommendation. And you guys really need a guy like me. I can get the job done and done well. And the problem I see is that I thank you for your service in the Navy, and I appreciate that. But quality, you have to roll up your hands, just like you did as a commander. You have to roll up your hands and push along with your, Sun Tzu, okay, The Art of War, says this: treat your soldiers as they are your children, and they will march into hell and back again. And that's what you need at Boeing. And I can do that. And here we go with Boeing. And here's a disgusting thing. Boeing sits on ANSI right over by ANAB. Okay, right over there on the board. Here is the supplier notification of 2002. For 22 years, Kirkland, they have negated their inspection ability. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they send out maybe a couple here and there, but as a whole, we can tell by the deficiencies in quality that they basically accepted a certificate as a verification of the quality that supplier has. And you know what the suppliers say about ISO and AS? I've been out there. I've been doing this for 13 years. Daryl, it's a necessary evil. It really is, but we don't care about it. Yes, unbelievable. So you have this. I'm not going to read it to you, Kirkland, that, they say that I will. An on-site Boeing survey of the supplier's quality system if needed. Survey is audit, ladies and gentlemen, and Kirkland. Our preference is to deal with proven suppliers with excellent quality performance and not have to do on-site quality system audits. So for those of you who aren't privy to quality, Kirkland as well, you basically take an ANSI ANAB AS9100 for aerospace, you send it into Boeing since 2002, they check it off, you take your part, you send it in, and there you go. You want to hear about quality in the shitter? And here we go, Kirkland, this is even better. When David Calhoun, in 2009 sat on the board, he then became the CEO. He's now actually the FAA administrator, because the FAA came into Boeing in 2009, and it says the FAA increased the authority of Boeing Commercial Airplanes Division to self-certify its own aircraft. Boeing employs to perform tasks on behalf of the FAA that include oversight and testing and product standards, along with certification of aircraft technologies and new aircraft designs. So basically, Kirkland, the FAA gave them the hat of regulatory authority. So you have the FAA and Boeing. And let me just show, we'll get to that, but let me get to the supplier portal. That's even better. The worst thing that makes this quality quagmire even worse is that on their supplier portal, because as you see, Boeing sits on ANSI's board, okay, right over by their accreditation body that ANSI took over in 2018, that would be called no oversight. That procedure that they sent out to the suppliers, a notification, that has a lot of weight to it, because if you keep on reading, I only gave you that first part of it. If you keep on reading, it says Boeing really doesn't have to go out to certify as long as you have an AS9100 cert from ANAB. They don't specify it, because if they did, that would be a monopoly. So they didn't utilize my talents and abilities to get their suppliers certified. They pushed ANSI ANAB. Why? Because they're on the board. And here we go. Boeing Supplier Portal states ANSI ANAB. In fact, Kirkland, if you look at there now, it'll probably change, because I'm telling you, in 2018, ANSI, as I showed you, took over complete control over ANAB. On their portal, I changed it here, the verbiage here. This is the same verbiage. The only difference is, on their portal, as it stands today, it says ANSI ASQ National Accreditation Board. They were so proud of their quality. I have told them now, okay, and what is it? It is now 6 years later, and it still says ANSI ASQ National Accrediting Board. Ladies and gentlemen, do they care about quality? Does David Calhoun? He probably doesn't know. I feel bad for him, because he's got a staff that is not informing him of these things, especially that ANSI ANAB are underwriters for the accreditation body that they demand. What's that? There you go. The door pops off Alaska Air, a tire falls off a plane, an engine blows up. You have a culpable, liable organization like ANSI ANAB. And the first person you go after is Joe Batia, the CEO of ANSI. And here you go. This came out. I have these articles. They're in the description, all of this mess. And you have Boeing fudging documentation, Kirkland. I think this happened 217, 218. And just most recently, and they're a steel supplier, Kobe Steel. And most recently, Kirkland, is that their Boeing Bell composite facility got fined $8.1 million by the DOJ. Only issue here, Kirkland, is that DOJ even sits over by the FAA, Boeing, DOT, etc., FBI. So we have these issues. I'm a composites guy, just to let you know. Composites, plastics, non-ferrous metals, aluminum, titanium alloys. I have my BS degree in management. You have my information. I sent that to Boeing. I hope somebody got it and pushed it up the line, because you need a troubleshooter like me. Roll up the sleeves. If you have people who are experts that are affiliated in any way with ANSI ANAB, which I'm sure they are, they know about ANSI ANAB, then you are doing no better than what you did in 2002 with giving your suppliers basically, and your accreditation body, the authority to be a source inspector for a piece of paper. Does a piece of paper have two legs, arms, and a brain, and a heart? I don't know. But anyway, make matters worse, you have the FAA that gave Boeing authority that sits on ANSI's board. Is anybody feeling kind of warm and fuzzy about getting on a plane now? Because they gave authority to Boeing. They gave regulatory authority. And the final thing is, I heard the Department of Transportation, Safety and Transportation is going in with the FAA. And I understand that the Department of Transportation is involved with the National Safety Transportation Board. And one of the bad things is that when we siphon this down, you're having a piece of paper dictate quality and assurance to people who are sitting on planes at every major airport, airline in the world. Shame on you. My name is Daryl Guberman. I am the CEO of Guberman PMC LLC. The reason why we do this is because we care. We've contacted them. We're waiting for a response. And I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, we are a quality expert with over 40 years of experience in aerospace, medical implants, medical materials, printing, and plastic distribution. My telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, D-A-R-Y-L, TQRS at yahoo.com. I'm sorry for the length of this, Kirkland, but this has taken 22 years now to metastasize. And if you don't do anything, and you don't contact me, and I say this humbly, I don't say this braggingly or boastfully, or anything, you're going to have a fatality. I mean that. And I am sorry for those of you who may have a relative go down in one of those planes. And I don't make this up. I gave you proof in this video. I thank you.